In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the 3 most important components you must understand when it comes to content creation if you're looking to take your content to the next level, and that is embodying what it means to be an artist. I say that because in my past few years of working in content, I've seen this lack of authenticity that's a lot harder for people to tap into than they realize, and so I'm here to kind of help you break that down if you're someone that's looking to get into content and that's understanding the art of who you are as a person. For those of you new here, I'm Carlicia, a visual artist, author, and content creator who's been basically figuring out things as we go as a creative and working in full-time content creation and then kind of going back to my roots in my artistry as an artist. So this is what I'm dedicating my channel to do, to not only share with you my journey, but also inspire you and help you along the way with a lot of things that I learned in my journey and things that I wish I would have knew started out in content creation. So with that being said, let's dive into the first thing you must understand when it comes to embodying what it means to be an artist. Art isn't just what you create, it's how you see the world. Your art is your perspective of life, meaning how you experience things, how you see things, what are your viewpoints on things. And people create content around the same type of topics, but what sets them apart is their own unique experience, their perspective of life around that specific thing. And that's why I think it's super important when it comes to your approach and how you take your content creation, is understanding that it's cool to pull from other people's inspiration, like pull from people that you are really inspired by in their content, but not to just copy and paste and do the same exact thing, because what's really going to help you create content that's authentic to you is really tapping into, how do I view this? How would I go about this? How do I want to express myself in this? And that's the beauty of this all, because you have your own unique perspective of life. You have your own unique experiences, challenges, things that you've been through that no one else has experienced but you. And once you tap into that and realize that it's not always about what's trending, what the algorithm pushes, or what's working for somebody else, but you just gotta tap into who you are as a person and be confident, know that it may not, obviously perform the best, but like at least you're creating from a place of your authenticity. And you get more comfortable in that, and people will start to connect with it. And I think the cool thing about creating content is like, that's your self-expression. And it's super important to not lose that, because it's like your inner child, like you get to create again. And to give you an example of someone who embodied this so well is actually Vincent van Gogh. You see, he was a phenomenal artist, but the thing that stood out about him compared to a lot of different artists during his time is his perspective. And that's the whole thing in here, is like, once you really tap into your perspective of who you are and how you see things, it will naturally just separate you from the crowd and create your own unique path. You see, with Van Gogh, his work wasn't all about creating perfection. It was all captured in his expression and his perception of how he saw things, which was very unique during that time, because, there was a lot of artists that focused primarily on the realistic things, like they look more surreal art. While Van Gogh, he had more of an approach, like he created from a place of expression, meaning you could see it in his work. From a lot of famous paintings that he has, it's very immersed with so many colors and makes you feel how he felt when he was creating the work. He embodied that, understanding that it's not about creating from this place of perfection, but creating from a place of your own expression and how you see the world and how you experience it. And when he did that, now everyone, when you think of A Starry Night, what do you think of? His painting, at least for me. But he kind of really set the tone of challenging us to really go out and create and express how we feel, how we see things in the world that may be completely different from other people. And that's the thing that I want you to understand when it comes to content creation, that it's not about following a perfect formula, but it's about really embracing what you feel and what you see in the world and how you want to express it. And I encourage you, when it comes to creating content, to really ask yourself, what part of me is in this? And what would happen if you created not from a place of trends, algorithms, or doing what works for other people, but really creating for you? What would that look like for you? The second thing that you must understand when it comes to embodying what it means to be an artist is embracing the creative process, not the end result. I can't speak for other people, but I can speak for me when I say that sometimes when it comes to content creation, we can get so caught up in the end result and not really taking our time and just expressing and being vulnerable in the creative process. Like, as much as we see great content out there, and like as I mentioned, it's easy to compare yourself to other people's content and think that everything has to be perfect. And the reality is it's not. We all go through different journeys to get where we are, and we're all growing and learning and trying to master our craft and what we're doing. And so I think it's really important when it comes to content creation to be more vulnerable and sharing those creative processes that we go through, because the big thing here is really allowing your audience to see you authentically in all the good, the bad, the messy, and all that happens in the creative process. Because once you do that, you allow yourself to be authentic with who you are, where you're at, and you don't have to show up as somebody that you're not. You're allowing people in, seeing for who you are and what you're going through, whatever the case may be, or what your journey looks like, what you're working through. You're creating content from a place of who you are and the art of who you are. And I say that because even in the creative process, we know that sometimes it can be messy. There's still things that we're still trying to figure out, we're navigating and we're struggling with. And sometimes the thing that you think that is a mistake, or you focus primarily on it being an issue and like how you perceive it, and it's like, something as simple as like you're insecure about in your work, whatever that may be the very thing that actually people gravitate towards. I think, at least from my experience, whenever I would talk with other artists and share, your work, we're usually the ones that are quick to point out things we don't like about our work, while other people will see that and be like, I actually really like that. So I say that to give you a perspective of, think about that in your own content. Like sometimes the thing that we don't like about ourselves or how we show up in our content may be the thing that connects deeply with people and the thing that they really enjoy about you. So I tell you that to embrace that in your creative process and all that you do in your content. Because at the end of the day, I think once we shift our mindset that we're creating to create for ourselves and self-expression, it would do far more for us than we think. Really embrace where you are and be authentic in who you are. Focus on, creating to create. So I encourage you to really think through how you can share your creative process with your audience in a way that's unique to you and what you feel most comfortable with. And it's not to say that you have to share everything, but, start where you feel comfortable, and you never know where that can go. And also say that, like I mentioned, don't get caught up in all the things that truly don't matter. Whether you don't like your voice, how you look, this and that, I promise you, once you pass through those barriers, you will start to create from a place that you've been waiting for, like you're your authentic self and you're putting the best authentic work out there, that you're starting to connect with people in ways that you haven't before. Now, what I believe to be one of the most important ones you must understand when it comes to embodying what it means to be an artist, that is to create to evoke emotion, not just to inform. You see, when it comes to art, we don't just create something for the sake of creating something visually appealing or informative. Great artists create with emotional intent. You see, every brushstroke, every frame, every word in a script is there for the purpose of provoking a feeling. And that's what makes art so powerful, because it has the power to evoke emotion and make people feel something deep within themselves. And it's really important to understand this when it comes to content creating, because there's so many different ways that you can really master how to evoke emotion within your content. And you may be thinking to yourself, how am I supposed to do that? Or what does that even look like to evoke emotion in your content? And there's really simple ways that you can start doing that. One in particular, I will say that I have seen that's been the most powerful, believe it or not, because we naturally do it probably every day in our lives, that you may not realize the impact it has on your life and then your emotions, how you feel, is music. Music plays a very important part in the same way in our lives, in the same way it should in our content too. So keeping that in mind whenever the emotion that you want to evoke to your audience, also keep that in mind with your sound design and see what resonates with you and how you feel about it, how you want your audience to feel. Another way you can start to invoke emotion in your content, which is one of my favorites personally, and it goes no brainer because obviously I'm an artist, so it's the artist in me. I just love color, and that essentially is color grading. Colors aren't just there to look pretty or visually appealing, it's actually there to carry emotional weight, believe it or not. That's why sometimes, even in marketing, there's certain things and colors you always see for around sales. There's a whole thing around it. It's very intentionally thought through, and that's why there's a whole thing around color theory, because it evokes a certain emotion and people feel a certain way based off certain colors. So just imagine when you think through that and finding your own style in that whenever you're creating your content. So it's very similar with sound design, but sound is like what you can hear, and with color is what you can see. And so just imagine when you combine those two together, chef's kiss. So I think like whenever it comes to, starting off, maybe you're really new to it. I would say, at least what I've done that's really fast and easy, is getting presets from other people. And then also there's a lot of different softwares that you can use that already has them that you just drop and drag. I know CapCut has a lot of them. And yeah, it's something that's also pretty simple to do starting off, and then eventually start working towards the skill of learning how to color grade and really making something of your own unique way. And so when it comes to really invoking emotion in your content, it's really important to utilize the things that are there, whether it's sound design or color grading, or if you just want to just keep it simple, your storytelling. What is the story that you want to tell that's going to help evoke that emotion for people? Because I've seen it all the time. It doesn't always have to be the color grading or the sound design. It can also just be you as a person telling your heartfelt story, because people will naturally gravitate towards that in general. Now, with all that being said, it's super important as a content creator that you learn to really approach your work like an artist, because one, art isn't just what you create. It's how you see the world, how you perceive it in your own way, what you feel, your own experiences. That's where you want to start and continue going from there to showcase your creative process, not just the end result. People want to be part of your journey, and be open to that, to showing them like all the highs and lows through it all, because there's a really special connection that comes with that, because you're showing people the good things, the bad things, and just the process, because we all go through it. And so it's like you're building a community, showing them that they're not alone, and we all go through very similar situations. And that goes to show when it comes to the content aspect is focusing on evoking that emotion, because that is going to seal the deal for your content. And that's what I really want you to grasp here when it comes to the mindset of artists, is they're not just creating for anybody else. They're creating for themselves, meaning before they can even put out a piece of work in the world, they had to feel something within themselves. It had to mean something to them. Even if, like, think about it, a lot of artists, great artists, don't rely on other people's opinions, what they think about this and that. Like, they're solely focusing on creating from their core. And when you do that, you make the best work that's most authentic to you. And that's the main thing here for you to do, is once you start to utilize these components in your work, you will start to create from a place of your most authentic work. And I share this because that is what I am doing myself, is, I've spent the last couple of years creating content, for metrics and analytics and virality. But at the end of the day, you're just going to be like a hamster on a wheel, doing the same thing over and over and over until you burn out and you don't want to do it anymore. And I'm speaking from my own experience. And I knew I had to change up something, because I was at the point personally where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I encourage you to utilize these components. And I hope that this was valuable to help you, whether you're just getting started with content or you're someone like me who has worked in marketing. You have done it all for everyone else, but you've yet to do it for yourself. And I'm encouraging you to take a step back and get back to finding the art within you, because I think we show up as individuals so much better when we tap into the art of who we are. We are our most authentic self in that, and we're not trying to be anything else but other than ourselves. And if this video did give you a fresh perspective or even a spark of inspiration, I'd love to hear from you and understanding how are you going to utilize any of these concepts in your content creation. And hey, this is just the beginning, because what I've shared with you guys today is all the different components I am really focusing on bringing within my own content. And as I mentioned, I've been doing content creating for the past couple of years professionally for other people, and not once did I ever really go all in on myself. And so that's why I'm dedicating this year to really show up as my most authentic self within my content and really expressing the art of who I am, and just sharing my valuable tips and journey and all the things that come along with being a creative in this space. And you guys should definitely subscribe, because I promise you don't want to miss out on some next upcoming videos I'll be having come out that I really believe will be very valuable to you if you really found this video valuable as well. So Stay tuned because you don't want to miss out. And remember, the art is already within you. You just have to go out there and make it happen. I'll see you guys in the next video.